Hello, hello, hello. And we're back, but this time with different casters here. I'm Let's Go Dragon. Oh, I'm a little loud on my end. Sorry about that. But yeah, we're back with some more GRLCS semifinals. This time we're over in the Diamond Division with USAE alongside of Neuroshock Gaming. USAE on the blue side and Neuroshock on the red. I'm Let's Go Dragon alongside of my co-caster here is going to be O.
How's it going? I'm excited. I don't get to cast Diamond very often, so especially for semis, this is gonna be really fun.
Yeah, pretty exciting to see how this is all going to turn out here. We're going to be using Pro Draft here, so not going to be seeing or hearing at least all of these sound effects. It's just going to be us talking of it. And speaking of the drafting phase, we're already in it with Mordekaiser Ezreal banned from USAE, while Nurshot Gaming is banning away the Shamira and Set. What do you think about these bans so far?
A little bit standard from the side of Neuroshock, I think. Samira, very strong champion right now. Set flexes between multiple roles. USAE's bans seem a little bit more targeted, taking away the Mordekaiser and the Ezreal. Pantheon has seen some play in the professional scene recently, but the other two champions haven't made that much of an appearance outside of our own recent games. So to see
Mhm.
what the last ban is here from Neuroshock,
Yeah, it looks like they're
the
going to
ever-present Shen.
Yep. Shen is a very good band takeaway from both ends really. Just because he has that ultimate, whether you're gonna play him into the jungle or into the top lane, has a very strong omnipresent just presence in general, which really makes it a lot harder for a lot of players to try to look for picks when you always have the threat of a Shen just ulting in, giving a pretty decent sized shield to whoever you need to, and then just jumping right into there. So that's going to be picked away, while the Orin, Jin, and Lilia is all going to be picked up for USAE, and then the other two for No Shock.
Yeah, and I like the Jin Lilia response from Neuroshock, both really powerful champions. Jin might be the highest priority ADC in the game right now. The other one potentially being Ashe, depends on what kind of comp you want to play. And Lilia just such an oppressive jungler if she gets ahead.
Yes, I do agree. I would be interested to see if Jin is actually going to go for the boot start with 4 potions, which gives you a lot of more immediate early game power because you can do a lot more of these fights early game because you're playing for having those boots or having those 4 potions, which is much more sustained than you normally get in the short term at least than you do with a Doran's blade or even a Doran's shield, and then you can use those boots to help you do a little bit of more your auto spacing, where you walk into their attack range, you hit them once, and then walk out before they can hit you again. Although it's against an Ashe who has about 50 more range than Jin, so she has a little bit more leeway in order to try to do those sort of things.
Yeah, and the solo lane Lucian being picked up here for US Army. I like this pick a lot. Gives you so much power in the mid game. Also, just a ridiculous lane bully. I expect to see that. Uh, don't know what the response is going to be from Neuroshock because you have a lot of AP damage in the jungle already. You could match the Lucian with something a little bit off meta here in mid if you wanted to.
Yeah, if they could even go for maybe even also match up with like seeing the ADC in the mid lane. You could also try going for possibly a Corki in the mid lane as well for Neuroshock Gaming side. Although it is going to be AP damage, that's just like a little bit of security because Corki has that dash, the Valkyrie, in order to try to get away from Lucian whenever he engages, and you always have that little bit of extra dashing. And it looks like this Syndra ban was actually supposed to be a Silas ban. Good thing we are using Pro Draft in order to correct some of these mistakes. So just keep in mind that Syndra is actually going to be a Silas ban away.
And Gragas Shyvana removed on the other side. Two other very heavy AP damage junglers, which makes a lot of sense since they've already drafted the Lucian mid. They're going to have to find their magic damage somewhere else.
Yeah, it will need to try to find some other sort of magic damage carry instead. But it looks like what is this last ban? It's going to be a Braum ban for the last one. Uh, decent pick. I saw that if you were watching Worlds this morning, early in the morning, we also did see a Jin Brom pickup, I believe, or was that? Oh, am I confused? Or am I confusing that with something else? No, I'm pretty sure it was actually a Braum Jin bot lane with Braum taking Hail of Blades to fill in for the Jin's gaps. Is what I saw in Worlds earlier today. So that's going to be banned away. We're not going to be seeing that. And Braum does provide a lot of good things, stopping Horn, stopping casualties, and all that stuff. So with him gone, that's a little bit more extra assurance for USAE's side that they don't have to worry about that getting stopped. And it looks like the brand is going to be the next one locked in as well.
Well, I asked for magic damage from a different role, and USAE has given me magic damage from a different role. Brand recently picked up a couple of buffs. Really potent champion, especially into things like the Scion, because you get the percent health damage over the top of the base damage that he does. Going to be answered by the Morgana, so it is the kind of lane that doesn't have a lot of self peel. If you
Mhm.
wanted to gank bot lane as Neuroshock, it wouldn't be that difficult. You just need any piece of CC to land. You can get the W route if you need something a little bit longer range off of Morgana's pool, or you can just straight up land binding.
Yeah, in a lot of ways to do that for ganking wise, but not to say that USAE doesn't have necessarily the really strong gank potential. They have the Zac, who can just dive in there really well. It looks like it's going to be Kiana finishing up this draft here, so it's going to be a lot of AD damage with Lilia trying to be in the one to finish this all off. And yep, now we're going right into champ select here. I'm just going to move it over so you guys can see, but move it right back on. Back cut so you can keep looking over at these bands here and picks. So overall, I do think USAE has a pretty good team. They have a pretty straightforward front to back team, but you have also the double ADCs, Lucian to help out your early to mid game a little bit. Still strong presence in the late game, mind you. Ash is going to be the late game carry that you talk about, and then Brand, with receiving his new buffs, might be seeing quite a bit of good changes from whenever, or some good plays being made just because with these added buffs where his E now always spreads but spreads even further if they're already ablaze, you can easily get your passive off onto multiple people, especially when you're post 6.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see the Kiana lock in. It's not one of the assassins I've seen picked up into Lucian very often. This did seem like something Neuroshock was prepared for, though, so we'll have to see how that performs. I feel like USAE's comp is just a little bit easier to execute on. Neuroshock's comp relies on Lilia getting ahead, relies on some somewhat unreliable engage in the Kiana ulti and the Morg binding. I mean, you've got Scion ult, but it doesn't really match Ornhorn and Elastic Slingshot in terms of ease of execution.
Yeah, definitely so, definitely so. And then also having Benioda pick up that Scion, it's going to be interesting how well the Scion is really going to play out for Omega Neuroshock game because I haven't really seen too many Scions. He is still the strong juggernaut that you typically see, but he's not necessarily the for lack of better terms, the sort of brain dead top laner that we really come to expect nowadays in at least season 10 now that we're coming approaching the end of the season. Especially thinking about how well he's gonna match up against Ornn. Ornn scales up a little bit better into this late game, so I'll be interested to see how well this lane's gonna work out. Whether Sion can try to punish Ornn for some of these trades and make it give himself a little bit of leeway, or if he's just gonna get outscaled by Pork Chop's Ornn.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting tank fight up in top lane. Two of the highest damage tanks, or at least full tanks that you can draft. Ornn has the ever-present meme of being a tank, assassin, mage, bruiser, frontline, backline, wizard. I'm just throwing more nouns at it at this point while I wait for this timer to drop down into spectator delay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of these other lanes as well. We already covered top lane with the Sion and Ornn a little bit, but with the jungle, we're seeing Zac and Lilia, two different, very different roles. We're seeing Zac, who is more of an early game ganker, who has presence in the late game by providing peel for his team, while Lilia is more so. I would consider more so like a bruiserish, where instead of you're taking, less damage, you're dodging a lot of damage, and then you also have the very, very potent, 5-man potential sleep, which then allows your team to reposition really well. So we'll just have to see. I think Zach definitely has a leg up in this, being an early game jungler. Uh, Being able to gank Elise a little bit more often, possibly into the Kiana or even in bot lane. Maybe not so much in the top lane because your Ornn can probably survive just well against the Scion. But yeah, I'm interested to see how well this jungler is actually going to match up and if Powder can really edge over to this late game part where this 5-man sleep is going to be really impactful for his team, or even just getting some good pickups with those sleeps.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how much pressure Wairito can put down while Lilia is farming up to that level 6. It's also with this particular jungle matchup, it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not Neuroshock goes for the Lilia invade Raptors level 1. You just zone off the enemy bot lane. Lilia gets the Raptor camp because she does it faster than any other jungler that I can name right now, and then she walks over with her level 2 and hopefully smites red. That's like the dream scenario, right?
Yeah, very dream scenario. I'd say the only person that can really do Raptors faster would be a Kane, but you also can't do what Lilia can, where after you do Raptors, you just go immediately run and smite the red buff. Just because you don't have that movement speed that Lilia necessarily gets whenever every time she Qs or just hits anything with an ability. So the extra mobility from Lilia is going to be useful for some of these jungle clears, definitely.
And the bot lane is actually kind of an interesting matchup. You know, we talked about how easy it is to gank onto the low mobility that USAE has. They're trading that mobility for just raw damage, like just a ridiculous, disgusting level 3 brand gets full combo off and Jin dies and then gets sent back to fountain kind of damage.
Yeah. So it is a lot of damage. I mean, and not to mention quite a bit of CC as well. You have the Ash Arrow, you have all the slows that Ash can provide to make it easier for Brand to land his stun. Not to mention that Brand stun has tons of damage whenever he hits his whole thing. Plus the Brand buff, so that it makes it a little easier to hit both people with his passive rather than just one person. So again, pretty interesting to see how well this super damaged bot lane can actually 100 this Jin, or if this Jin is able to survive thanks to the help of Morgana.
Yep. We have spectator delay down to 0. We're going to be loading into game now. We'll have to see the skin selections because that's always a fun thing to pass the time on during loading screen.
Definitely so. Love the zombie brand. Classic good brand skin. I personally have the Spirit Fire, but the zombie brand very nice.
Now we've
Yeah.
got Waterboy Zach. No, this is actually something I was talking about in the Return of the Middle Sticks Discord a couple of nights ago. This is the superior Ornn skin. Uh,
Mm.
Ornn as a champion, I mean, not having his signature red glow and fire that you get taken away with Thunderlord Ornn is actually suboptimal. So I really like Porkchop's Ornn skin up into the Mecha Zero Scion that we've got going on here.
Yeah, and as we're loading in, everything's getting here. Let's go ahead and introduce all the team members. We already said a couple of their names before, but let's go ahead and just jump right into this. So on the USAE side, we have Pork Chop in the top lane playing Ornn, Wairito in the jungle playing the Zac, Alacrity in the mid lane playing Lucian, and in our bot lane to round out our comp, we got Ash and Brand played by Talented, and it's me, that's OP.
And on the red side of the rift, sporting the red health bars, we've got Omega Neuroshock Gaming. We've got Binyona up in the top lane on Scion, Powder in the jungle on Lilia, Yeeted Deletus in the mid lane on Kiana, and Swaggins and Junior Dean playing the Jin Morgana bot lane.
Yeah, and we're looking at a 5-man stack already this early into the game. Talented got to run for his life, but thankfully was able to sniff it out, catch it out, not just stay in the bush, but actually walk out of it to see whoever's walking, and managed to get away with his life there. That could have spelled disaster for a start of the game if that actually went through correct. went through.
Yeah, no hook champion in the bot lane, so the longest range ability to catch Talented there would have been the binding. Runs a little bit too slow. Talented doing a good job of walking past the tri-brush to check for that invade that's coming in through the bot side. So let's go to their respective side of the rifts. There is no Lilia invade level 1. She's just going to start her red buff into her Raptors, which is a really fast clear. I wonder if she's looking to get onto the bot side quickly, ignore the Krugs, and full clear without Krugs. But we'll have to see what that path looks like.
It's possible pathing that she could do. She could also look in for a early sort of gank onto Pork Chop as well. Not sure how much they can really get out of that, as they do opt in for this. But it actually looks like she's just going to go ahead and do a full clear, seeing that she kited all the way to Krugs. Probably then go into Raptors and then finishing up in the bot side. But, ooh, having a little bit of a delay here, but that should be just fine. Not that long. So
Yeah, and this is the melee mid matchup into Lucian at its finest. Yeeted Deletus already burning through one tick of the refillable potion and about half life at level 2.
yeah, gonna have to deal with that. This is the strong point with Lucian because he is a ranged champion versus a melee, and then getting his level 2 means that he can just get more auto attacks after you. So hopefully the leaders can get through this early game. Look for that Tiamat early, for an extra wave clear, and then look for some all-ins, or even if Powder can run in there with him, to relieve some of this pressure that Alacrity has already accumulated for himself. Now in the top lane, just some light trading, nothing too much going on in this early game, which is to be expected. Only lane that would really have that much action in, I would argue, would be just the bot lane, where we have the double, like a lot of CC possibilities, but right now we're not seeing too much of that, at least just for now.
Interesting to see that Junior Dean, with the Comet on Morgana, has actually opted for the Relic Shield instead of Spell Thief. So, the slightly tankier option, but also provides a little bit of utility with clearing wave. If you're looking for early level 2, you can get the executes on the melee minions. That time has passed, but it is an interesting tech option.
Yeah, something we do see often, and now the gank in the mid lane, Udilitas does burn his ignite, is going to go really low here. Warito is jumping right into this now. Warito is going to have to try to get out of here because he's found himself in a pretty bad spot. Speaking of bad spots, see Beniona, he's caught in the middle of two people right here. He doesn't want to be in the middle of. Now they're just going to go ahead and get first blood over on the Zac because no one's stopping him from just getting killed right there. Beniona actually going really low. He does fall to the flash of Pork Chop, and Pork Chop's not going to be able to get out of there either. Looks like Powder picks up a double kill for himself. Ooh.
So that's really, really good for Neuroshock Gaming. 2 kills early onto the Lilia. Your top laner's fine. The early death on Scion doesn't really mean anything because you have the TP. Something that was mentioned on a stream that I was watching recently. The first death in top lane really doesn't matter. It's when you TP back and die again that the wave just gets set up against you. The enemy top laner gets his lane kingdom activated, and then you have a bad time. But you can take a solo death top lane. So getting the 2 kills early on Lilia is huge. The CS difference in mid is like the big thing that came out of that, and Alacrity not dying. That's the upside for US Army.
Yeah, pretty good upsides because they didn't lose out too much from that engaged top lane. They did lose out Warito for his passive and everything, as well as the Scuttle Crab, but you know it's still early bits into the game here, and if you've seen Worlds, that anything could happen. We've seen so many swings if you were watching those. Now we're looking at possibly looking for a roam down bot lane. Dragon has spawned up, so if we're looking for a roam bot lane, we can definitely find easy ways to optimize on your time there. If you can get a double kill, even just a single kill, and then look for the dragon, Definitely useful. Ult was used by Benio in the top lane, but he is just going to go ahead and hit the wall there. Now an engage here. The stun goes out onto Junior Dean, but I don't think, yeah, they're not going to continue this any further. Both both sides getting a little low, getting a little chunked out there, but I don't think they have too much to worry about. With that said, Powder is in the area. Ornhorn does go out in the top lane, but the Devastating Slam goes ahead and cancels that while Ryrito gets a good stretching arms in order to stop him back. Now Benyona is running for his life here while the flash coming out from It's Me That's OP in order to dodge away from the Dark Binding. Benyona is going real low under the tower, but it looks like they are... Oh, he actually gets a kill out of this. Ryrito goes down in that botch dive. Oh
Eh,
no.
Everything that could have gone wrong for US Army on that dive went wrong. They they have Porkchop's Ornn ultimate interrupted by the decimating smash, and then Benyona just kind of walks it out, and Wairito gets a little too close to the tower. Benyona living with literally 12 HP.
You
And he
can't...
gets the kill on Porkchop because Porkchop overstayed. Unlucky.
This is the Baniona difference right here, you know? I can't say parry difference because this is not Stuck Gaming's game, but still, this is Baniona doing a really good job there playing a tank top lane on 2 HP, 12 HP, whichever one number you say. It's basically one shot at literally anything. And managed to get a double kill out of that, so this is not looking good for US Army Esports right now.
And the early pickup of the Catalyst of Aeons for Benyona is something I really like as we see Junior Dean getting chased down by Wairito here. I don't think he's got it.
Yeah, they're looking for anything they can to pick up a kill, but hey, back massager managed to pick up the kill. Alright, they're still looking for more. Powder goes ahead, drops the ulti in order to try to maybe escape here, but the final bits of auto attacks does finish it up there. Ash ulti does whiff over onto Yeeted, so they do average it out a little bit, so now the gold lead's actually in favor of US Army Esports, surprisingly thanks to that CS difference. And yeah, it's not looking too bad anymore. Other than that, now the gold is back in favor of Neuroshock Gaming. I should really be careful with what I'm saying with you to delete us. Now trying to run away. And it looks like that's the end of that. In the mid lane, at least. In the top lane, they're just going to go back to our wet noodle fights with Benio and Porkchop. Just going to walk along, buddies right next to each other, holding hands. Maybe throwing a couple of words at each other. But Porkchop is getting slowed down. He knows he can't really go for this engage here. But, oh, he really can't get out just yet. He needs to, oh, he has to be careful. He might actually fall here. He
Yeah, one
does
more
fall,
E
though.
has it. Benyona just knowing the limits of the champion, chasing him down. Junior Dean a bit in trouble in mid lane as the passive will go down. And Yeeted Deletus was waiting. So that'll be a trade there of support for support. But Yeeted Deletus is doing something interesting. Wairito has to flash away from Powder, who has really good positioning on that. Am I gonna get a break? Do I get to analyze? Let me analyze, please. I have so many cool things to say.
I think we're good now. I think you're good.
All right. Well, what I was gonna say is that Yeeted Deletus did something interesting, not opting for the early timeout for wave clear, going straight into the serrated Dirk instead, and that front-loaded so much damage that just immediately popped Alacrity when he walked back into lane. Now with 2-0-1 and the finished Duskblade, Yeeted Deletus can really take over right now. If he starts going on roams with Powder, especially. Oh no, we didn't see it. Directed camera, stop. Why are you doing him like this?
The camera takes no mercy whenever it comes to all of this stuff. But as you were saying, before we go ahead into this next fight, never mind, it's already starting. Current Call does pull out, but so does the Culling. Alacrity is going to have to flash away from the supreme display of superiority. I forgot what it was, talent. And that's the end of that. Okay, Dragon spawning up here in a minute and a half. Drowsy goes down, so they're looking for a pick here. The Udilitas is in the area. Rooted does go down, and it looks like It's Me That's OP does fall. Porkchop does not get that last charge off, but he is going to possibly... Yes, there you go. Goes ahead and picks up the kill for Beniona. And Beniona is now just going to be CSing some minions since he's out of range from Porkchop.
You know, Benyona almost turned that. The the Scion mechanics. I never thought I'd say that as a color caster, but it was a really nice snapcast ulti into flash back for the max range Q. But the W from Ornn Bellows Breath will pick that up on the backside, and that's a lot of gold going over to Pork Chop. I mean, you don't really think about it in terms of like, oh, the tank versus tank top lane just got a really big shutdown, but it actually matters quite a bit because Pork Chop getting more XP, more levels gets you faster to those ornaments, which is going to be a big difference in this game because so far the gold dead even, and the longer this game goes, the more I kind of favor US Army Esports comp. Kiana is not one of those assassins that scales super well into the late game because it's so hard to get in, and it's really hard to get in, especially against this comp.
Yeah, and Kiana's definitely not a champion that can really make a comeback. If your team is like pushed into their bases, you have a really hard time because the only thing you can really grab is walls. And you don't need walls in order to try to, or you need more than just walls or earth for Kiana to really do something. You need to have two elements. Ideally, you have either bush if you have Duskblade, which he already has right now, or you have ocean or water, ice. I don't, all these elements are really confusing, but having those two separate ones would help out a ton. But if they're being pushed into their base, it's definitely going to be pretty tough for them to look back, but we still have plenty of time until then. Dragon is going to be taken. Alacrity is going to try to use the Calling in and get some good damage off, but it looks like Eden actually misses the ulti into the bush, or into the Dragon Pit, so he won't be getting anything there. Swaggon's already used the Calling Calls to get a couple of good shots off, but now it looks like Narasal Gaming is actually getting slowly shredded out here. Beniona is actually going to try to pick up whatever he can while in the pit here, and Powder is going to be 1v1ing against Pork Chop. He goes a little low because of that Horn, but thankfully Swaggon's on the other side of the wall. Maybe make up this difference here. Pork Shot is not enough yet, but he is reloading. He is a madman. Here he goes. One last shot, and that is the ace. Nershot in the favor of Nershot Gaming, but by slim margins there.
That looked so bad at the start for Neuroshock. I was confused as to why they pulled the trigger so hard because the dragon had already gone down and they only hit one with the bowling ball off of Powder's sleep. But Swaggon's able to clean up so many people at the end of that fight with the TPs coming through. Everybody was about in fourth shot range, and it really did end up bailing them out because that started off as a really bad play for them.
Yeah, it was an interesting fight to go into at least. But in the end, they did manage to come out on top and having the gold on the people they kind of needed to. Sure, Beniona picked up a couple kills here and there, but more importantly, Swaggins has 3 kills for himself now. He finished his first item. He's looking to build the next one, which is probably going to be Rapid Fire Cannon. Pretty standard stuff, but still very, very cool thing. Good thing for him to pick up here, since Jin can really utilize that extra attack speed to help him kite away, become the fast, in order to really get away from some of these threats like Rito, Alacrity, and Pork Chop.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how effective he can be. Powder in trouble. And that's enough damage, it is.
Yeah,
Just
enough.
barely. Swaggins and, and Junior Dean are going to get engaged here by Rito.
Yeah, but I think they'll be able to kite their way out of this. Possibly Rito actually flashes in on top of him so then he can go ahead and pick up that kill. Ult was used by It's Me That's OP, but it won't be able to be long enough to bounce to himself. But regardless, this is 3 kills for USA Army, with only giving up Rito, who sacrificed his life to pick up the bounty off the Swagons anyways.
Yeah, it was actually really nice. He got the flash, instant snapcast elastic slingshot into a W, and it's just enough damage. A really good timed flash there from Talented to get away from Yeeted Deletus, who just burned every summoner he had for that, actually. So Talented's gonna have to be careful. Yeeted Deletus could run him down here with this minion wave.
Yeah, possibly, but looks like everyone else is just gonna be back to the normal lane state, so there's no neutral objectives to go for right now. so there's nothing really gravitating players to do anything other than just grab some picks to get a little bit stronger. Speaking of which, Leaders using his supreme display of talent in order to try to get It's Me That's LP down, but unfortunately, not going to be enough in order to pick up that kill there.
Really, a couple unfortunate ult misses from Yeeted Deletus, both in the last team fight at the Dragon, and just there, just slightly miscalculating his damage on It's Me That's OP. Didn't have... You could tell, too, immediately when he lived with the sliver of HP, he thought he had it. He had already turned onto the next target.
Yeah, next target. Now, actually, we're going to be switching our focus over to this top lane with Beniona versus a 2v1 in the top lane. He's just too tanky. It looks like they want to go back in here, but Powder is also in the area, so it would be a 2v2 if they do go back in.
Yeah, as that was happening, I was working on a Zac and Ornn walk into a bar joke, and then they don't have enough damage or something like that. But it didn't end up panning out, so I decided to describe the joke instead as a method of reclaiming the humor that I could have generated with the joke had I been more clever.
Yeah, it's always about the meta. You know, if you can't make the joke, make the meta-ness of the joke. And
Exactly. That's the caster dream right there. Also, a trick used by comedians fairly frequently. The ones who can't come up with the material themselves.
yeah, but I mean, it works for them, so why not you? But for now, it looks like the Net Dragon is going to be spawning up here after seeing all of this fighting in between. Uh, Quite a kills game right here. We have 27 kills already down on the Rift in 17 minutes, but now this is Ocean Rift, so quite a good Rift to get whenever you want to go for some of these longer fights here, or at least trying to survive some of this burst. So either team really wants to benefit off of this. And currently, it looks like Nershot Gaming has sorry, I'd say currently a lot, taken the first site control, but current call has been called as well as Supreme Display of Talent. Now, Soul Shackles popped eye, Junior Dean in order to try to get a couple stuns off, same as the sleep, and now is a beautiful wombo combo by the entire team to really CC down US Army Esports and push away Alacrity from being anywhere nearby. Poor Chop still doesn't have his TP available, so he's just going to be trying his best to salvage what he can in the top lane.
Yeah, as that fight broke out, I was about to highlight the gold difference between Alacrity and Yeeted Deletus and the gold difference that's being matched by Swaggins versus Talented. It's about 2,500 apiece, but the gold difference doesn't really matter if Alacrity's not allowed to get in and actually hit people. So Beniona wants blood. That flash forward the E for the slow. Don't know if he's actually going to be able to run down Porkchop here. He doesn't have the ultimate. Yeah, that's... Well, I mean, if you don't try, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right?
True, true. You know, by sheer chance, some of these have to hit. So it's not like it's necessarily a bad thing for trying to go for some of these shots. It is going to be on cooldown now, his flash, so he's not going to be having that for a little bit. The Rift Herald is going to be expiring here in about a minute, so they need to try to burst this one down, but looks like they don't have any issues getting this Rift Herald down, and this is going to be... Is this the first Rift Herald of the game? I cannot remember, but if it is, it looks like US Army Esports is going to be taking that one up and looking for possibly getting some really good pressure down in one of these lanes, whether that be top, where to finish off that tower, or we're going to go start sieging bot lane, or open up the map with mid lane.
Yeah, they do definitely have options with where they want to put it. The arrow coming out onto Yeetus deleted there. Talented was positive he was going to go in, which, I mean, if the arrow hadn't come out, who knows, he might have, so...
It says Duris in the chat saying that is the second Herald, so thank you for correcting me on that one. And arrow does come out from Talented. It is a nice respect arrow. He doesn't want to be risking any sort of engages that Yeeted Deletus might do on him, regardless of the fact that Yeeted Deletus is not that far ahead. Talented is still playing an ADC, very squishy target, and very susceptible to a lot of these engages.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Yeeted Deletus is opting purely for the one-shot, a follow-up, what looks to be a Ghost Blade, with the Caulfields and the Serrated Dirk, not opting for the somewhat more standard Edge of Night. So Yeah, with the
So,
exception of Merc Treads, Yida Deletus is in it exclusively for the kill.
which is not a bad thing, considering that we have Alacrity and Talented, both playing ADCs, neither of them building that many defensive stats. Only ones that Alacrity, or only stats that they actually have that are defensive, is going to be those Merc Treads, and that's not going to do anything against Yida Deletus. You also have the option of going on to It's Me That's OP, because he also just the only really defensive thing he has is going to be the Liandry's, and then as well as the Rallies whenever he builds that, to just because those two pair hand in hand very well with each other. So he'll still be able to one shot once he gets into this with just focusing on purely for this damage. Not going to be worrying about Pork Chop or Rito. That's the other players on his team's job to worry about. Swaggins can deal with it. Junior Dean can probably CC him down long enough. And Powder having that burn is always going to be very useful.
Yeah, my eyes are on Alacrity for this next fight. Has finished up the IE, is sitting on 2 items, 7, 2, and 5. Still with a minor CS lead. That's fairly negligible because of how cheap lethality builds are. His finished item count is actually being matched, despite the fact that he is still a grand total of 2k ahead in total gold with his counterpart. So if he's able to get unlocked in this next team fight at all, there are so many targets that he can one-shot. Basically everybody who isn't Benyona.
Yeah, and having all those uh targets that he can possibly go for one shots is going to be pretty crucial, because once you take those people out of the fight, you don't really have to worry about them anymore. And right now, speaking of taking out of the fight, it seems like Alish Arrow is also going to be coming out once again over on Eudalitus. Eudalitus is going to go for all in over onto Talented, but burning everything on both sides, and it's not going to be enough. It looks like Talented is going to be coming out on top of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Yididalitis needed to pull the trigger on that combo a little bit earlier. He actually would have gotten the stun onto Talented, and did with the Ignite down, but couldn't follow up anything because he died to the last auto attack.
Oh, and It's Me That's OP took the full hit of that Scion Q. It looks like Benyona using an ulti to cancel out possibly the Porchop's ulti, but it doesn't work out. Now the flash coming out from Wairito in order to get some good bounces in. Portal is Powder, sorry, is in the middle of it. Gets to sleep off over onto one, but now has to go golden and defend himself. Looks like Powder is going to go down to Alacrity, but same goes in return. Now Beniona, still a very tanky boy, is in the middle of all of these things, and Swag still has been yet to be touched in this fight. Now the current call is going to be coming out here in order to try to finish off some of these picks, while Ryrito is just going to be ignored other than by Beniona, which is doing quite a bit of dueling. And looks like that's going to be end of that. Talented is unfortunate, or is alive right now, but it looks like Eudalitus is looking for a little bit of revenge. Does not see him, and just going to go ahead and possibly just zone away for this dragon here.
Yeah, and that fight once again is one of those that was saved by Swaggins. We see Yididalitis has to burn the ulti to get out. Does look pretty safe now as Neuroshock also picks up that dragon. But yeah, Swaggins being untouched in that fight is going to win them yet another engagement in which they, it looked a little shaky for a little while. Swaggins did have to flash out after getting caught by the Zac, but then there was no follow-up after that. And it was a little interesting. Powder hit a 3-man sleep, and then I don't know how much in-fight coordination Neuroshock had around that, because they woke up all 3 members with non-big damaging abilities. Like it could have been so much more convincing than it already was.
Yeah. On the bright side, Lilia's sleep does work a little bit differently than Zoe's sleep. It doesn't double your damage on the ability you do. It does just a flat amount of damage whenever you wake him up. So it did do quite a bit of damage, but it could have been more, because typically a lot of the big damaging ones require a lot more setup. And since most of them were already awake by the time, uh, you know, by the time the sleep does go off, and then they were just pretty much immediately awakened, Powder didn't really have a chance to get the full, I believe it's W, not the bowling ball, but the small dash into a circle slam. unfortunately unable to really get a full damage part of that, since that one is quite a big ratio whenever you're trying to do that. Now we're seeing everyone else is going to be posturing around this top side. Only neutral objective that either team could really go for is this Baron buff. So naturally, both teams will be posturing around this area and looking to clear out wherever they can, while sending Pork Chop in bot lane, continuing to accumulate some of this gold. He already has his Orin items. He's going to be soon upgrading other people's. But first, he is going to be split pushing, having the TP available so he can meet up if there is a fight is to be had. Valkyrie in the top lane clearing out that way so they always have some pressure down. Looks like Wairito is going to be going in for an engage over on Powder. Powder is going to be able to get a two-man sleep. No, just a one-man, unfortunately. But Junior Dean is going to be able to wake up Zac into the gray screen. But Junior Dean goes golden to meet his doom as well. Looks like that is going to be a 2-for-2 trade. But Beniola choo-choo trains his way back into the fight here. It looks like Porkchop has been caught by it. He is going to be taking quite a bit, but Udilitas is in a bad situation right here. He is too low in order to try to deal with an Ornn right now, and this team's doing his best in order to try to really deal with it. While on the rest of the side of US Army Esports, they really can't get in here. They're doing out whatever abilities they can, but neither side is really going to be able to really get anything out of this. Porkchop's just too tanky, while with his team unable to really enter the fight smoothly, while looks like Euclides managed to get out with his life thanks to Beniona's peel and a little bit of damage from Swaggins to dissuade them from continuing forward.
Yeah, and what looked like a really good pick there for the side of US Army Esports actually gets turned around. It ends up being a 2-for-2 again, keeping fairly even. The gold still at just about 2,000 ahead, so I'm really looking up at this dragon spawn here in a minute and a half. It's soul for the side of Neuroshock. It absolutely has to be contested, and whoever gets the better vision setup is basically who's going to win, because both comps having a hard engage style, whoever actually gets the engage onto the primary target should just win the team fight. If Swaggins gets picked, or if Powder doesn't get everything off before dying, US Army Esports takes it, and then the same thing goes for Alacrity and Talented.
Yeah, Powder does find a two-man sleep right here, but he does get caught out by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It looks like Swaggin's trying to look for a 4-shot target just on anyone that's important, but unable to find really anything. Going right into Powder while the Horn is going to be called out here. Does get a knockup, I believe, and then Wairito is in the deep of it, but he is going to fall down to the 4th shot from current call. Junior Dean now taking quite a bit of damage, goes golden and kills his teammate actually, while Udilitas does not do enough damage still in order to try to finish off Alacrity. Alacrity now just going to be dashing away. He's going to be kiting. This is a Lucian's dream where you're just fighting the biggest tank possible, but you have enough CDR in order to kite your way around him.
Yeah, Alacrity wasn't there at the offset of that, and then comes in and gets everything on the backside. Deletus had a really good engage, picking off both of the low members, and that basically won the initial team fight. And then they weren't able to get anything off the backside because Lucian came in. And, you know, I've been told that Lucian ult is single target, but not when your support Zanya's in front of you.
Very true. Beniola using the train again in order to get right into the Dragon Pit, but he is not strong enough to try to deal with these targets. He's going to be using his passive in order to try to get him down a little lower, but not going to be able to really pick up anything here. And it looks like USAE is able to stall out the clock a little bit longer for themselves in order to get this scaling in. Porkchop is level 15. He has a couple Ornn items in. He already gave the Mullen Edge over to Lucian, which very smart buy. It looks like he's upgrading someone else, but first an engage by Talented using the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Udilitas actually gets a one-shot over onto Talented this time. Now Powder is able to get a return one-shot over to Alacrity, however. So now we're seeing a little bit more of a longer fight here. Current call comes out from Swaggin so he can try to support his teammate from afar, but it's me that's OP. Walks right up to the Jin in order to try to stop him from ulting, which he does, but unfortunately he falls down as well since he's deep within enemy lines.
Yeah, and this game is just going back and forth as fast as we can cast it. The Dragon does get delayed, so Soul Point won't come up again for another 4 minutes. And then on their way to the Baron, which could have been done because Bignona was still on a split death timer from the rest of his team, there's a crazy engage in the river. Powder's actually able to pick up the 1,000 gold shutdown on Alacrity, which is just absolutely massive.
Yeah, and the Baron will be secured over onto the side of Neuroshock Gaming. I believe that Unit Deletus was also up whenever that was taken down, so now they have a 5-man Baron buff to their entire side. This is really good for them because you don't have you don't necessarily have an individual that's going to be really strong on your team. You have multiple people on your team that are pretty strong. Beniona uh, can still split push by himself because he still has that pain train in order to run into any fight that could be cooking up soon. But Junior Dean has been caught warding alone. Oh no, you need a warding buddy because Alacrity could be hiding in any bush there.
Yeah, and Alacrity on the 4 items now has the Mercurial Scimitar picked up along with the extra range you get from RFC. Absolutely terrifying on this Lucian pick right now.
Yeah, he's at 4 items right now, which is quite insane. We're into the late game now, where you pick up your 4 to 5 items, power spikes. Some people still looking on their third item to 4 item power spikes, but Accuracy just showing how much ahead he is from most people at his or working on his 5th item now. Seeing a TP coming in from the blue side. Look, trying to maybe get a pick over on a Beniona, but Beniona uses that pain train to pain train his way out of there, that station.
That was a really good sidestep by Bignona on the brand stun. If that lands, Bignona dies. 100%.
Yeah. Now, just using the current call, get rid of some of these minions. Really good call. Oof. He's still going to get chunked out of that regardless. Even if he is quite a few items ahead of Swaggins, but now everyone is going to be in the bot lane while Udilitas is in the top lane. Love that play because it spreads out the gold just a little bit more, and this Baron buff influence is forcing someone else to come back and respond to him, while he can go ahead and try to take this tower, at least a half health or the entire bit of it. So stopping sieges while encouraging your own.
It isn't talked about a lot because you typically want to have the supreme display of talent around the most members on the map, but Kiana, not an awful split pusher, has access to stealth pretty much anywhere on the map, can also hop walls in 2 different ways, assuming there are some jungle camps to ward and then E2, so it's fairly safe for Yeeted Deletus to actually be in this side lane, even with things like the Ornn Horn and the Ash Arrow as options.
And Beniona in the chat. Let me try. Okay, let me try this again. Ben-E-O-Na. Right? Na? Beniona? Hopefully that is correct. Alright, cool, cool. So, hopefully I'll be able to say that in the heat of the moment and not mess it up to whatever I was saying previously. Um, and now Dragon is spawning up here in about 45 seconds. The Neuroshock Gaming already has taken up sight right now, so they have the initial vision control. Ryrito is going to have to dash away. Bleed is actually in the backline in a bad position because they could just go for this pick right here, but oh, instead they're just going to go into a return with a current call is going to be called alongside the Ornn Horn. Beniona is going to run on in with Pain Train and get on into this backline. Alacrity still untouched, however, but it doesn't matter because a lot of his front line is going to be burned down right now, while Swaggins is relatively untouched. Now he is being hit by everything. Dives right in there with the flash, but he gets hit by everything. And unfortunately is unable to continue with that. Everyone's so low over on DuraShock Gaming side, but it doesn't matter because Porkchop is in the CC train and is unable to move.
Best of a bad situation there for Yi to Deletus. Just goes for it all with the flash over the wall and the ultimate. Gets the pickup for Swaggins on the ult, taking It's Me That's OP and all of his damage out of the fight. He didn't even get to ult in that engagement. And then Alacrity just doesn't quite have the capability of burning through Bignona before Swaggins kills the rest of his team, especially in a fight that split up around all the walls in the jungle there. So Ocean Soul will go over to Neuroshock, and that is really rough.
Yeah, really rough indeed, and it looks like Schizophrenic in the chat also saying, I'm saying Yeeted the Deletus wrong. Apparently it's pronounced greatest engaged player of all time. And after seeing that play where it looked like he was caught there, but instead just went with a 5-man stun, I'm not sure if it actually hit all 5 men, but you know what? It was basically a 5-man stun. There it is. So good job there, greatest engage player of all time. There he goes with another engage, getting it's me that's OP, but now he's going to be hit by the enchanted Crystal Arrow and able to maybe get another kill here. He goes golden instead. And while he is going to be picked out, he does finally fall down to Alacrity. Alacrity now in the back end of this fight. He's trying to play it a little slow here, but he's now asleep. He does use QSS in order to avoid a lot of this damage here, and Powder is going to go low himself while Alacrity is still relatively untouched in this fight, but so is Swaggin. Swaggin's just joined in the fight, managed to take down one tank. It looks like they're going for the next one. Second takedown, and Kern Call is coming out here, and it is a bad situation for Alacrity. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place, that rock being a Current Call, 4th shot finally hits, and the hard place being Ben Yoda walking up on him.
The damage that Alacrity does with auto attacks to this Scion is actually comical. I can't even I can't see exactly what numbers are popping up, but the health bar doesn't move, and this is a 4.5 finish item Lucian. As yikes, that's a casual 2-shot onto its meat. It's OP.
That is very much casual 1-shot. Swaggins is at the late game Jin. He is fully built. He is built completely different than the entire enemy team right now. He is quite the threat to be wary of, and that is what US Army Esports needs to try to worry about right now. We see Neuroshock Gaming having the greatest engaged player of all time at his 4 power spike, soon to be 5, or not power spike, but soon to be 5, and finishing all of that damage and are able to one-shot multiple people in a engage now. So they need to play maybe these fights a little bit slowly, deal with threats one at a time, stop with Yeeted Deletus, and then maybe look or stop Powder in order to get in front. That's 2-man sleep, but the golden goes down, so save someone possibly, but Talented is not saved. It looks like Beniona is able to get the pain train through. Now Ryrito is trying to make a salvage of this, appealing for his best he can for Alacrity. Alacrity goes ahead and uses the QSS since there's no more sleep threats, but Beniona is still so tanky. He cannot be stopped, and he manages to slay Alacrity as well. And that's going to be the engage there. The ace for Neuroshock Gaming.
Yeah, that's the game for Neuroshock. You know, it's difficult to have this kind of foresight into when the Ocean Soul is going to come through, but only one form of anti-healing on US Army Esports, maybe not the move. The Lord Dom's picked up by the side of Alacrity instead of a Mortal Reminder, but really nicely played there from Neuroshock. They knew their win conditions. Yeeted Deletus, making use of a very difficult to pilot champion with that much CC on the enemy team, getting a lot of really nice engages. Beniona basically unkillable at the end of the game, so it was a really nicely played game from them.
Yeah, and with Ed's Craze in the chat asking how much HP does Sion have? He has 5,000, and you also want to see how much damage. You want to see the damage charts? Let me go ahead. I should still display my. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the graphs, and we're seeing Alacrity doing his best. He's the most amount of damage on his team. Unfortunately, he just couldn't do enough damage to this front line. The Scion just uber tanking with Yeeted Deletus also just going in there and deleting him. So we'll be right back, and with our next game, 1-up for Neuroshock Gaming here. Let's see if US Army Esports is actually able to turn it around. So we will be right back. And we're back once again with USAE versus Neuroshock Gaming. This is the Diamond. Sorry, my apologies. Diamond capped semifinals with USAE versus Neuroshock Gaming, the first seed versus the fourth seed. Pretty uphill battle type of game here, but I'm sure that each side is going to be trying their best in order to make it out of here. We already saw Neuroshock Gaming pull out a beautiful game where uh Jin was huge. Beniona was amazing. The greatest engaged player of all time got back into the game and started one-shotting multiple people. And yeah, so now we're going to be moving on to game two with our bands. I'm still Red Skull Dragon. He's still O. And let's jump right into this.
Yeah, already we're seeing the adaptation for US Army Esports. They keep the blue side, but they ban the Lilia and the Scion. They're going to keep the Ezreal ban away from Swaggins. Nothing changed on the side of Neuroshock Gaming, though. Still the Samira and the Set. And if everything stays the exact same, it'll be the Shen as the third ban. 5 seconds left on that. We'll see if there's any change.
Yeah, still waiting. It's actually going to be the Lucian. Lucian was quite the threat last game with Alacrity. He was very deadly on that. And I'm sure some people in chat actually mentioned it, where that they actually banned it as well whenever they were facing USAE. So smart picks up there. Now the Orin and Jin, same pickups. It's actually the same order too. It's going to be Orin then Jin, taking up these picks really fine right here, just because Jin was a really strong player right there, and Orin really kept them in the game with the ornaments giving him extra bonus stats.
Yeah, so with the exception of the couple changes in the bands, we're seeing the same picks come through. So they're keeping with that's new.
That is definitely new. Uh, I do want to note I feel like it was last patch. I know for sure in ARAM there was a bug with Kindred where you can constantly remark someone, but you get no your marks counted as nothing for your passive. So essentially you were playing no marks Kindred. And I think that was why she was disabled in the previous week as well. Uh, I think Alex A2 mentioned that over in the announcements, but now I'm pretty sure Kindred is just fine, fits the bug with her, and Ash is going to be picked up for US Army Esports. Ash was actually honestly a little underperforming when it comes to the damage side. We were getting to the late game point, but we weren't seeing that late game damage that we needed to see out of the Ash. While Jin, he was at his late game point, he was one-shotting people. That fourth shot did a 1.6k crit, but we'll see. Maybe this time the Ash is going to be a little bit better because you're still that engage support or engage ADC. So hopefully we'll maybe see a turnaround in this game for USAE and picking up the Hecarim as well.
Yeah, I like this draft a lot so far from the side of Neuroshock. They have the Lilia taken away, so they get themselves a different priority jungler, one that works really well into the type of engage that US Army Esports has already drafted in the Ornn and the Ashe. Again, a little bit of a new look here for the Hecarim jungle as opposed to Zac. Zac's still up, but Hecarim, the horse is arguably a little bit more engage heavy, definitely faster, and definitely a little bit more potent upfront damage. So we'll have to see how effective that can be. It's also interesting and worth noting that Hecarim has two semi-unreliable methods of getting Kindred out of the Lamb's Respite, which is the fear and the knockback on devastating charge. I don't think it's actually called devastating charge, but color casters struggle out here. There's so many champions in this game, man.
Yep, there are definitely a lot of champions in this game to really worry about here. But now we're seeing our Nets pickups for our second phase of picks. Is going to be the Tark. Interesting pickup here. Not going to be seeing the Morgana because it was obviously banned away. Pantheon also banned away because that was a very strong support. Regardless, to really snowball some lanes. But the Tark pickup is actually very different game plan. You're more so of a defensive one. You could still have some pretty good engages with that dazzling, but for the most part, I really think Targ is more so of a uh, defensive sort of support that provides some engages.
Yeah, and what is interesting on top of that is we're just getting straight up two different layers of invulnerability AoE for these team fights for Neuroshock Gaming, and that just doesn't sound fun to play against, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to note. Oh, just on a mid. That's interesting. But first, I do want to note. It's me. That's OP has proven to actually be a really good support whenever it comes to. I've seen his Morgana games before. I believe. I'm pretty sure I've seen him play Morgana. I know I've seen him play Zyra, and I know I've seen him play Zillion. And both times they were really potent. He was able to land a lot of the stuns and roots in order to really prevent a lot of engages in. So hopefully, maybe having the Zillion pick up here again is gonna provide that little oomph they need into laning phase. It seems like uh okay, it seems like the TF pick is actually going to be an Akali pick. They accidentally locked that in, I believe. So all right. And they're going to be taking a quick break, but while they're doing that, let's go ahead and talk about the draft overall. Pretty interesting. We see yet another double ADC from USAE, yet Mega Neuroshock Gaming is actually going to go with a doubles ADC themselves as well.
Yeah, another double ADC game for US Army Esports with the Tristana a bit of a different look. Another champion that has the capacity of yeeting Kindred out of her own ultimate, so or anyone else for that matter. Um, that's pretty high quality. Also, you've got some very interesting shenanigans that are being called in chat right now with this potentially being an AP Tristana, which I would love to see
Oh,
because the
oh
idea of chrono shifting Tristana and then having her rocket jump on top of people just seems kind of fun. And if they're willing to have fun with it, I'm willing to have fun casting it. So
yes, being able to see AP Tristana, that I haven't seen that in all little bits. It's still a little bit of the Goomba stomping that you saw previously, but now your bomb also provides a lot of damage for AP Tristana, so there is a little bit more leeway for AP Tristana to go in, and I'd be interested to see that happen. But now we're just gonna go
it's
into
not going to
draft
be AP
names.
Tristana, by the way. That's a hyper meme. If
Man,
that actually gets built this game, I don't know. I'll come up with some challenge by the end of the game that I'll do if that gets built. Sounds
uh,
like fun. Why not?
it does sound like quite fun. I'm just gonna keep that right there. But in order to fill in that gap for what TF is supposed to be, here's a picture of a collie. I don't know where to put it, but it's there. It's
Ah,
oh now
that's pretty good. I like that. Now you're actually five head, but only if they take the nurse Akali skin.
yeah. Obviously, I can predict the future. I know exactly what skin they're going to be taking. If they don't take it, they're doing it just to troll me. Obviously, it's never my fault. I'm the caster,
Very
etc.
true.
etc.
But
And
looking across the draft, I mean, this is. I mean, with the Zillion as the change for the AP damage coming through from USAE. Outside of that, this is basically just the same team comp that they ran in the last game. A little bit more standard, a little bit more front to back, reliable engage up against the a little bit harder to execute, but arguably stronger team comp on the side of Neuroshock. They've got the Twisted Fate who can move basically anywhere he wants after 6.
I
Mordekaiser is
TF
really
is a
annoying to
collie.
deal with.
TF is a collie.
Oh, TF is a collie.
See, this is why
They
I put
just
the
had to.
picture there. I can't forget
But
now.
you didn't cover up the name though. I'm looking at the name.
Oh well,
Well, just
I'll do that, and then I'll write it in pen right here. It's kind of hard to see. Let me do it in red actually.
I
Uh,
like that. That's pretty good.
yeah. Oh, I didn't undo it. There you go. There. And now a call Lee. There you go. So there you go. So
All
now we
right,
see
all
that
right.
Akali.
That's
Behind the
better.
Akali, there's
Very good.
also a Tarek. I'll just put like the ending parts of Tarek right there. See, and Mordecai's right there as well. But so here's the entire draft. If you just ignore that, I'm entirely covering up the Tarek right there. You go. See, it's like nothing is wrong.
Yeah,
Uh,
everything here is standard, and I like everything that I'm looking at. I will say that Rick is one of my favorite bot laners to take into heavy engage because you just drop the Cosmic Radiance and then you hang out. If you want to re-engage, you can. If you want to reset, you can. You're just invulnerable for a set amount of time. Uh, that combined with the fact that Kindred can usually Lamb's Respite to save somebody means it's going to be very difficult for USAE to actually find any of the picks that they're looking for with all of these champions.
Yeah, and it's gonna be pretty interesting. See, we're seeing a lot of over on Omega Nershot's gaming site. I'm covering up their name a little bit, but I have another overlay. It's fine. Uh, we see, you have the AP damage Mordekaiser and Nikala. You have some engage with the Tarek and a little bit tankiness, and then you have the damage coming out from Kindred and Jin for a little bit more DPS. However, you don't really have a tank. Your only tanks are going to be Tarek, who's going to be in the middle of your backline in order to try to prevent them to kill your backline. And you have Mordekaiser, who's going to disappear the moment he sees an ADC and hits that R button. So, not going to be too much of a front line, but you also have the Kindred in order to try to help mitigate that. However, USAE actually have a lot of ways in order to try to push them out of this Kindred ulti. They have Tristana's ulti, uh, Buster Shot, I want to say,
Yep.
in order to push them out of the way, as well as the devastating charge from Hecarim. In order to really get them out of the ulti and still do quite a bit of damage onto them once they leave that ulti as well. So they have a
I
couple of
also
ways of
think
countering.
it's much more likely, in my opinion, that uh, the Mordekaiser ult doesn't hit either of the ADCs. It's more likely that the Ornn Horn gets called and Mordekaiser steps up, ults the Ornn before he can send it back, and then you're just in death realm with Mordekaiser, and he's like hippity hoppy, this Forge God's my property.
Yeah,
And Leandri's Ornn, not a good mix, especially when you have a passive like Mordekaiser's to apply it. He just kind of walks at you and swings the mace. I'm interested to see actually if Benyona will opt for the Nashor's Tooth as a potential boost to his 1v1 in Death Realm capability, because that's an option that you can go for. You have a large mace, swinging it faster does more damage to people. Everything follows a train of logic here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, either way, the builds are pretty good for him. Nash's Tooth is to supplement a little bit more for these longer engaged fights. Even though you don't get the Liandry's burn immediately because you're building Nashers first, but you still get a good on-hit damage to help boost your damages just a little bit. So I'm not sure if you really built that into Ornn at least. I can't remember at the very least. Either way, both those builds would be pretty potent against Ornn, at least in the early game, to really punish him. I know Ornn, however, does like doing short trades, and that would put a damper into Beniona's plan because he wants to do more of a longer trades. He wants to be able to really burn you down, to heal up from his conqueror, and if Ornn just or Potrop just goes ahead and does a short trade, knocks him up, and then walk away before anything else happens, could spell disaster. And speaking of which, I am just going to be setting this on. I want to make sure is this all in. I did a stream earlier today, and they were all out of order, so I had to, and I didn't notice it. But now, okay, they look good. Let me go ahead move away this snippet of Rick Akali, and let's go ahead and introduce these teams. You want to introduce the blue side for us? It's still the same teams.
Sure, on the blue side is the US Army Esports squad. We've got Porkchop up in the top lane, back on the Ornn, Rito in the jungle, taking the Hecarim, Alacrity mid on Tristana. The um, what's it called? The
Hmm.
three shot. It's
Cool.
it's
What?
AD Tristana.
All right, AD Tristana.
The
No.
the the keystone.
Oh, press the attack.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Talented, and it's me that's OP. No, My fault entirely. Blanking heavily. Not enough coffee. Talented, and it's me that's OP in the bot lane on Ashe and Zillion.
Yep,
And over on the
Zillion.
red side, we've got what is this animation that I'm watching right now?
I don't know. Just like in the, you're walking while you're emoting, so it's just like swinging your
Yeah.
little rocket launcher back and forth. But
Anyway,
anyways, yeah, we have our red side Neuroshock Gaming Beniona Ben Iona, on the top lane playing the Mordekaiser, saying that all my homies hate the Protoss belts on Mordekaiser, and I'm inclined to agree. I like seeing other things other than Proto belts because I'm not entirely with the Proto belt idea, but sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. Powder in the jungle playing Kindred, Yida Deletus now playing the Akali, a different kind of assassin, but all the types of damage nonetheless. Swaggins bringing back the Jin, but this time Junior Dean playing the Taric to support him.
yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Yida Deletus performs on the world's best engage character with no CC. So we'll see how that goes. Akali is a form of soft CC in the fact that she goes in and then she goes into Shroud, and you basically are paralyzed because you're still looking for the assassin that can one-shot you, and she's invisible. So we call that soft CC here. We
Yeah,
play chess, not checkers.
yeah, you play mind games. You're like, they could be anywhere in the shroud. So it just stuck looking for them when you only have targeted abilities like Alacrity does, other than the rocket jump, but that doesn't really count unless you're actually going AP. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But this is the semifinals, so I'm sure the teams are going to be taking it at least a little bit seriously. While it looks like an engage coming in from all sides. Top lane is now. Wyrito's in the middle of them, while Alacrity is just going to go ahead and pick up first blood thanks to the bomb one. The ball lane, they're going to have to flash down out of here. Already using the heal. Now the Elitist finds himself in the wrong spot. He is going to be hiding himself in the Herald Pit. But I don't know how much longer, because it looks like Rarito is right here, and he is only level 2. He's going to have to use the flash in order to get out of there, because he does not have the shuriken flip in order to get out of that pit.
Man, disaster for the side of Neuroshock Gaming on that Scuttle Crab fight. It's very difficult to bring Kindred to a Scuttle Crab fight in which there is a horse, but you also have a AD carry in the mid lane who has a bomb and can attach the bomb to people. There are a lot of things that go poorly for you in the level 3 versus level 3.
Yeah. I mean, Akali, if she was actually level 3 at that point, maybe they could have done a little bit more, but Alacrity just had to rotate a little bit faster. Speaking of rotates, it looks like Powder's in the bot lane now looking for a gank here, but Porkchop uses the TP early in order to get onto this fight. Right Rito in the middle of 4 of them right now. He's getting burned down. He looks like he is going to be falling down there with Beniona now pushing back the charge, and with a bomb on his head, doesn't matter. He's just going right into this. Now Talented is trying to go in for this kill, salvage what he can, but he is just going to go ahead and fall there, and it looks like Neuroshock Gaming has swung it back into their favor.
Yeah, they immediately get a return play on the bot side, committing the TP and everything they needed to. All 5 flashes are down. If they weren't burned in the river top side, they were burned in the river bot side. So, and the
Yeah,
gold swung a little bit. It's just under 500, so we don't call that a lead just yet. But it is 2 kills early onto Swaggin's Jin, which looked amazing last game. So that's scary.
oh, and I do want to point out, he went the boot starts. I didn't check because of all this fighting, but he went boot start with 4 potions, and that turned out really good because he was stayed relatively healthy against Talented and It's Me That's OP, who was hitting him a lot in this early game, as you saw before we got interrupted with a top lane engage. But yeah, thanks to that, he was able to sustain himself in order to come back in for that fight and manage to pick up 2 kills himself, and now an entire BF sword against Talented's tiny longsword.
Yeah, BF sword before 5 minutes is a yikes from me dog. Trademark that, by the way.
All right,
And
working on it.
Alacrity wasn't able to join that river fight as quickly as he may have hoped, so it ended up effectively being a 4v5, even though they had all 5 members in the area on the map. The shove was not in Alacrity's favor, and he wasn't able to join the same way Yeeted Deletus was, so it could have done differently, but now with that VF sword, just permanent shove here in the bot lane and basically free reign for Swaggins and Junior Dean. There's no way they ever get 2v2'd in this scenario.
Yeah, you would think so. But for now, we're also looking over at the top lane with Powder, just playing out some wards and vision, trying to make me make a gank happen. But Beniona, unfortunately, unable to really stop anything. While Ryrito's popping everything. He popped the Ghost, he popped the Predator. No, he doesn't have Predator, but he is just going really, really fast. And over in there, already pushing back Junior Dean. Trying to get something there, but he goes a little too deep, goes ahead and falls to tower while Alacrity back in the top lane. I've seen this movie before. It looks like Beniona is going to be falling down to Alacrity once again.
Yeah, so now we're starting to get less 5v5 and more trading around the map. Ryrito goes bot, doesn't work out for him. Powder goes top, works out for him just fine. Alacrity goes top, works out for him just fine. What I was actually looking for, and yeah, both AD carries, sans talented, are looking really good for equal squads. So
Yeah,
who can carry harder?
it is a matter of carries. It is 2 ADCs versus 2 ADCs, but you might have some people who are better at dealing with ADCs than the other on each team. So we'll just have to see how well that goes, especially with Junior Dean playing that, both the sports ways to stop engages. You have mid laner that can go in really hard. You have in the jungler that goes in really hard, and then you have top laners who are top laners.
Yeah, and both have really effective team fights in different ways. Ornn wants to get all that CC down, be super disruptive. Beniona wants to remove one human being from the enemy team and put them inside of the Death Realm.
The Hell Cell, as some may call it as well. But now we're just gonna be moving on. Nothing really to really look for right now. Only neutral objective on the board is going to be that Rift Herald here. Once again, I always love seeing it whenever it's me that's OP lands a double bomb. It's like I always think it's never going to hit, but then it does, and then I'm surprised. But yeah, only neutral objective on the board right now is going to be that Rift Herald. It's still up there. For either team to really pick up here. No one really has the priority to really pick it up here. A lot of priority top lane, but not a lot in mid lane to really look for that right now. But seems like Swaggins possibly could be. No, he's just going to go back bot, but his support is going to be roaming around to help out some of his teammates a little bit, to maybe cover a lane in order to provide a little bit more pressure, and then go for a Rift Herald play. But nonetheless, it looks like he's actually just going to go right back to the bot lane, maybe drop a couple of wards on his way so he can go ahead and maybe spot out Ryrito if he chooses to not go for an in-lane gank.
Yeah, is hovering around this Rift Herald. Is not going to be able to pick up that ward. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, and let's see Boo in the chat letting us know that it is also known as the Thought Realm because you do yell out to be gone.
That is appropriate. We will accept this submission. We appreciate your contribution to the list of euphemisms we can use for Mordekaiser's Ultimate. There's another one that is popular on the Middlesticks GG channel, courtesy of Meristematic, that I can't legally say on this stream, but
all right, well, you can always
we
say
just
it
know
illegally.
just know that it exists.
It exists, and we will not be saying it legally on stream. If anyone wants to say it in chat, maybe. But no. It's just I'm not insinuating anything. We're just gonna go back into the laning phase. Back to our good old-fashioned game of
The
League of
only
Legends.
insinuation is that we have no control over chat or your actions.
Yes, of course.
But checking back in on the state of the game, we've got a pretty hefty gold difference in bot side between Swaggins and Talented, and it's not being matched as hard in mid from Alacrity's 2 kills to the side of Yeeted Deletus. There is just straight up 1,000 extra gold on Swaggins that doesn't exist anywhere else, and it accounts for pretty much the entire gold lead that Neuroshock has at this point.
Yeah, we're seeing possibly a gate from outside, but it's also just Kindred walking at them, so maybe not anything happened. There's two control boards in that bushes also, so they're gonna take extra time in order to try to clear out both wards there. It's me that's OP, just landing these double bombs, just always thinking he's gonna miss it, but never does. I am always surprised by that, but it looks like we're going for a bot lane engage. Powder dropping the Rift Herald here, but it looks like Edith Deletus is also down here as well, looking for possibly an engage in order to make sure that they can continue on forward. Current call has been dropped, and we're going to get a couple shots out. No real damage really coming out of here, and unfortunately, this is also a lot of shared gold for Neuroshock Gaming as well, dropping that Rift Herald. Not everyone, I think, or at least close to everyone, got a lot of the shared gold there, and that split up those two turret platings that you normally get into, or two split into three, so it would be like a kill's worth of gold or so. Oh no! In bot lane engage, I should stop with that line of thought right now, because Alacrity is going to be engaged on, but now reverse engaged on you. The lead is going to have to use the engage in order to get out of there. But Powder, being the good teammate that he is, dropping the ulti just in case there's an auto attack following.
That was really good reaction time on Alacrity's part. There was the R1 from Akali into an immediate Shroud, but before the Shroud went off, Alacrity had actually queued up Buster Shot to send he to delete us further into his jungle and past the Shroud, so he had to instantly flash back into the Shroud there.
Yeah, and looks like we are going to be raiding by our main channel. Thanks, Vid, for doing that. It is quite an interesting game here. We have a couple battle of ADCs, and right now, Neuroshock Gaming is going to be in the lead here just by Swaggin's difference alone, seeing that he has a full item build while Talented is still just sitting on a Vampiric Scepter. His combat power is going to be lower whenever we're talking about this dragon fight. If there would be a dragon fight, it looks like Ryrito is just going to be getting out of there. But possibly we're looking to maybe stall it out long enough, but I don't know if they can.
Yeah, it would be difficult for them to stall out, and they are just going to let it happen. They did have Pork Chops TP, but so does Benona, and I don't know if Ornn coming in really equalizes the difference that you have in the bot side of the map. Jhin being on an item versus the Vampiric Scepter of Talented and low mana on Talented means you just really can't fight for that.
You really cannot. So, second dragon going down over to Neuroshock Gaming, and now it's feeling like one of those long drawn out bleed out games for US Army Esports. They're going to need to try to do something here. They're on their back foots. They need to try to, in order to get a better foothold in this game, try to push for something, look for picks, try to maybe get a good gank off, and try to get someone fed on your team. You right now, Alacrity's at 2 kills, almost tied up in items, like down to the T with Swaggins right now, but Swaggins is just going to be a little bit stronger, just because, you know, he is sitting on a lot of this gold right now, so he possibly could have quite a bit of a power spike waiting underneath his belt.
Yeah, grown up to a total of 1,400 ahead as there's an engage in the top side. Powder does have the Lamb's Respite, has to pop it under tower.
Ooh,
Oh, wow!
beautiful.
That didn't look like the edge to me.
Now,
Crazy that just barely puts Powder outside of the edge of the Lamb's Respite. That's the knockback we were talking about, and an engage by Eda Deletus will pick off Alacrity on the backside. So they are getting something back. We'll see if Porkchop falls here. He doesn't have many resources left, and he is gonna get smashed by Benyona's mace. But that is the interaction that we were talking about in Champ Select in the draft. We saw it on display there. But unfortunately, they just don't have enough members on the top side at requisite power spikes to handle the re-engage that happened when Yeeted Deletus roamed up.
so really good there. I did not know just done as Buster Shot alone is long enough, or long enough knockback in order to get you all the way out of Kindred ulti. So that's something new learned today. And yeah, that is actually quite the counter to Kindred, because if they can go ahead, you know, if they're dead center in Kindred ulti, they can still get knocked back. They need to be on the opposite side. in order
Yeah,
to just stay inside it.
as it's cast, you can set up the explosive charge to go off basically as the ult puts you out of range, which is what we saw right there. I think the only counterplay to that is there's no counterplay to this, by the way.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
the only counterplay to that would be an instant Q from Kindred towards Tristana, so that you stay barely inside the range of Reliance Respite, which is really hard to think about. Like hindsight 2020, you Powder probably already plans that for the next time that that interaction occurs, if it does again in this game. But in the moment, it's so hard to think that that's the correct option.
Yeah, not everyone's going to be thinking, ah, yes, I run at them when I'm at low HP to live. Uh, it's a really hard option to think about, but right now, their option in the mid lane looks like they're going for this gank here, but three-man ulti over from Junior Dean. Ornhorn was popped here alongside of It's Me That's OP using that. Now It's Me That's OP using the little speed up boost for Ryrito to try to get in there, but it looks like this is going to be the end of that engage. Possibly look for something more, but I don't think they'll be able to really find anything.
Yeah, and this has gone kind of quiet, but after that last kill on Wairito, 0-4 on this horse, now has about the same gold difference between him and Powder as there is in the bot lane. Maybe not quite. We're about 500 less than that differential down there, but no finished items on the horse yet. Hasn't completed the Triforce or the jungle item, and opted for the damage route. Level 8, 3 levels down on the enemy mid laner, doesn't have the Cinderhulk to move into because you've already committed with the Phase Rush and the Red Smite item. So it's really rough for Ryrito to actually get anything done in this mid game, which is kind of what you've drafted the Hecarim for to begin with.
Now, not to say that you can go ahead and go switch on over to the tank build with a Triforce. I mean, switching it up midway is better than not going for it at all, just because, you don't have the damage to necessarily support it, and living a little bit longer to be a nuisance in the middle of the fight is better than trying to do damage and just getting one shot out of it. So, possibly looking for the Hecarim building tank is going to be the play here, since he is just so far below, but looks like Alacrity's getting some good damage off the Junior Dean before he goes ahead and pops the ulti. He doesn't have the ulti available, gets the stun off over a Pork Chop to prevent the orange charge, but now Udalitas is on getting attacked by two members of the team while Beniona is on Talented. Talented having to flash away, hopefully maybe be able to live out of this, but nope, he is going to go down here. Beniona getting the heal off of the Triumph, while over on the other side of that wall, we saw that Ryrito has fallen as well, and Swaggon's using this huge lead that he accumulated for himself, putting himself now to 4-0, item and a half power spike, or not power spike, but item and a half right now, with Alacrity running with its tail between his legs.
So that was a 1v1 followed by another 1v1, and in the middle of it, between the two 1v1s, was a 3v3. Uh, that's what that team fight was. Yeeted Deletus over the wall, fighting with Ryrito, picks up that one. Talented, despite a really nice flash and it getting to really close health totals on the two of them, losing to Bignona inside the Thought Realm, as we have coined it for the rest of this series at least. And then Pork Chop once again having, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. There's so many different well-timed ways that the squad from Neuroshock has of stopping the second part of the Ornhorn, and that time it just so happened to be Jin W. So a really nice, a really nicely played team fight there from them.
Really well played. And now we're seeing everyone is just going to take the reset. Actually, it looks like Ryrito might be speeding his way over to somewhere because we saw It's Me That's OP use the speed boost on him, but doesn't look like we'll actually be seeing any fast moves from him just yet. I'm sure we'll see maybe on something else whenever the next fight does happen. It is going to be the Ocean Soul if USARMY Esports does not go ahead and try to contest that. It is the next Dragon coming up here in about 4 minutes. We have a lot of time until then, but a lot can happen in 4 minutes to swing this game back in favor of USARMY Esports. The 4K gold down over on the side, or 4K gold up, I should say, for Neuroshock Gaming. I say in the USAE a lot, so I'm just going to switch on over there. But Neuroshock Gaming, a lot of leads on their parts, a lot of bounties.
Yeah, definitely a lot of standing gold that US Army Esports would be able to pick up if they're able to get any of these picks, but yeah, it's really rough, especially when you have stuff like this happening.
Yeah, it's me that's OP. Going to have to use his ulti on himself, but it doesn't matter. He's stuck in the middle of the current call, and he does fall down to that. We have Junior Dean being the protector in order to stop this a lot of his engages, but right now, just Dragon's in the bounce castle, but he managed to survive all of that thanks to the ulti. Now we're looking over onto anyone else we can get our hands onto. Junior Dean, sorry, not Gene, is going to be falling, or not falling there. He managed to live barely alive, while Alacrity falls to the Dancing Grenade, while Yeeted Deletus goes ahead, misses that last Q, and Benio is saying, it's my kill. Alright, once there we go, got to the auto off, gets a triumph, so he lives out of that swag. It's still on that 4th shot, waiting for Ryrie to step up and test him. But none of that for now. It looks like we're going to take this inner mid tower.
Yeah, and I mean at this point, Neuroshock is just slapping people with their wallets. They're 6, almost 7k gold ahead. They've got gold leads on a ridiculous scale on pretty much every member. Yida Deletus actually losing a perfect game by trying to go for that kill on the pork chop and not quite having it, but it's cleaned up by Bignona under tower. They get the mid inner. It's me that's OP got caught warding at the very start of that, which was the catalyst for all of it. And then the initial engage looked pretty good. They caught Swaggins, but the Cosmic Radiance was active at that point in time, and so they can't get anything off of it, and then they just have to run.
Yeah, they had to run away from what Let's See Do in the chat saying not Swaggins, more like Chaddins. So
And he definitely has been on this gen. Like this gen pick has been basically the series for Neuroshock. Just ridiculous performance game 1. So far, ridiculous performance and a ridiculous lead over Talented in game 2 as well.
yeah, and now the engage coming out. Oran Horn has been popped, but he was unable to complete all of that thanks to something. I'm not entirely sure, but he was out of the way of the Oran Horn. Asher was also thrown out of there, but he was unable to get that to connect. Pork Chop is going to go low here. He does have the ulti on him, so he will survive, but looks like Swaggins is going to go legendary on the Rift with the kill over at Talented, while Riot with, Edith Deletus is going to be inside the wrong base, but it might be just the right base if you just pull in enough teammates in there. I mean, you have 4, 5 teammates in their base while they only have 1, now none. So it looks like this is your base now, Shock Gaming. They're going to go ahead, try to take this mid inhibitor tower, then the mid inhibitor. I don't think they'll be able to go for an end. They do have about 20 seconds till the front line comes back, but they do have to worry about 3 other members on the enemy team.
Yeah, and Swaggins is just putting on a clinic. Has he missed more than half of his shots in any of his gen ults this game? I really can't think of a time when I saw more than 1 or 2 shots miss out of 4. And the 2 that he landed that time to put Pork Chop into the chrono shift so that he could hit Talented behind him, nuts.
Very nuts indeed. I haven't necessarily been keeping track, but the current call has been really good, if not for just zoning. Because we saw previously in the other game, we had Swaggins block off an entire exit way for Alacrity when he was playing the Lucian with the current call, and that alone was just enough in order to really persuade him from either I commit into the current call where I could die, or I stay here with Beniola walking at me and do die. So now we're seeing yet another engage. Junior Dean getting really low, but actually picks up the kill over an Alacrity thanks to his Cosmic Radiance. Now Powder is in the fifth of its ult. Does go over onto Talented, so he is going to be saved by that. Nearly full health back, but he is going to be stunned up. Oh, that one bullet is finding his way into Talented's heart and presents yet another gray screen to him. And it looks like it's going to be trying to do a 1v5 hold for Pork Chop here. Not looking great for USAE, but I've seen crazier things, honestly.
when when it's me that's OP was running away directly into Benyona's mace, I thought Benyona had TP'd in. No, Benyona was just chilling in mid lane that whole time, walking down the wave. Knew that they would win that fight. It's such a hard hold here for the side of Porkchop and Alacrity, and I just don't think they have the damage. The Nexus is open, it's being focused down. The Lamb's Respite goes off. Do they have enough to hold?
Yeah, whole
Not
team is
quite.
here. Very
Not
close there.
quite. Very close hold
Oh.
at the end of that, but just such a clean game from Neuroshock this time around. They had a little bit closer of a time of it in game one. This one just looked like a gap on all fronts.
Yeah, very much so. Just because Neuroshell Gaming, they are the undefeated Titans right now, uh, and they still hold true to that. They unfortunately USAE, this was your chance to get payback, take down the Titans, get into the finals. But unfortunately, Neuroshell Gaming has just really showed how dominant they are in a lot of their lanes. We saw in this one, especially with Swaggins generating such a huge lead for himself, 10-0. He went perfect in this game, and pulled out the win for his team. Nurshot Gaming, congrats to you. You guys will be moving on to the finals, facing off against. I am not entirely sure who you're facing off against, but you'll be in the finals, meeting up with someone. Hopefully, you guys uh, enjoyed the stream for today. We still have one more game that's going to be later at tonight for I believe it's the 4 o'clock. So it's not actually tonight. So in about an hour or so, it's going to be Stuck Gaming for Huevos del Equipos. It's going to be casted by Vid and one of our casters, Keen. He's the newer one. And there you can find out who Omega Nershot Gaming is going to be facing off against. So thank you all for tuning in. I've been Red Skull Dragon. He's been Oaf or Neo. I'm not entirely sure what to call him anymore. I butcher a lot of names, and we've been giving a lot of nicknames in this game, at least. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.